right away today, and there's been some talk about just overall toughness. Is that something you felt like you guys needed to add this year?
Well, I think just generally speaking, we want to add tough football players. We've got some tough football players here, and just in general, the game's played by. It's a tough game played by tough people, and that's what you want. You want guys that love the game of football, and I think we've helped ourselves in that area.
Wilson seems real pleased to be joining you, but he was very frustrated by having to wait through the first 2 days of the draft. And what kind of stuff would you say to him and to us about his long wait?
I'd say excellent, and hopefully that benefits us.
What were the things that you liked best about him?
Well, I think he's good in coverage. He plays the run well. He's a good football player, and he loves the game. He loves to compete. And those are all attributes that we like and we try to look for.
Do you see him as an inside linebacker here?
Well, I think this game is getting so much where, those guys are interchangeable. So, of course, he'll play in the box, but I think he has the ability to go out and play over a slot receiver, too, in some circumstances.
You mentioned the fact that the first 4 picks were on defense. Did you guys go into it thinking this is where we really need to add depth and talent or whatever?
Not necessarily. That's just the way it happened. John may have had his own plan, but I think from our philosophy, we try to take the best player that we think's on the board at the time, and I think we've stayed pretty true to that.
Mack Wilson told us that 31 other teams are going to have to feel the pain he felt during this draft. Did he express anything like that to you?
He did not, but sometimes those guys like to talk after they talk to me. So.
From all your Alabama connections, was there some good insight that you had into him coming into this?
Jeremy Pruitt's one of my good friends, and he coached him at Alabama, and of course it's documented in my relationship with Coach Saban. But I don't think we got any more information than anybody else did. Every player that's drafted in the National Football League all the information is gathered by 32 teams probably equally. And I don't think we made this decision based on any one bit of information that we got. We made a decision based on what was on tape and from talking to the kid and getting to know him a little bit. And that's what we made the decision based off of. We try to make decisions based on what's on tape. That's how I learned it. I know that's the way John likes to approach it. And just tell me what kind of football player he is. Because ultimately, all this is all good, but ultimately they got to show up on Sunday and play the game. And that's what we try to do.
He's got picked Forbes as a left tackle in college. What's he probably going to be in the pros?
We don't know yet. We think he's got versatility to do all three and play left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard, center. So we'll see when he gets here, see what best suits him and benefits us.
About Taki, what does he bring to the table?
Toughness, physical, a relentless desire on each play to get to the ball. I think that's kind of sums him up. He's got great length, takes on blockers well, and doesn't miss many tackles.
The phrase is toughness, physical, relentless desire. Sounds like the same thing you guys said about Jannard Avery a year ago. Mm-hmm. Are there similarities in their style that way?
Well, I think, I don't like comparing two players ever, and I won't, but I'll just tell you that Avery does play with a relentless nature and high motor, and Taki does the same thing.
A lot of guys, it seems, would not draft a kicker, but did you feel you had to go get Seibert, or you would have gone, or what?
Again, we rank those guys just like we rank everybody else, and he was sitting there on the board, and we decided to go get him. There's nothing wrong with always adding competition, and I think we did that. And hell, there was 3-4 kickers taken before him, punter / kicker. I think a couple of them in the same round.
Building like improving a championship caliber roster. Where do you think you made the most strides here?
I think we added guys that enjoy the game of football, enjoy practicing football, enjoy playing football, enjoy competing on a day in and day out basis is, I think, where we've made the biggest strides.
You expressed yesterday that you appreciate the way you see Dorsey working on draft day. But here, he doesn't take any offensive players. Are you so in tune with your new job now as the overseer of the big picture that it didn't bother you at all that no offensive players were taken until his guard tackle was taken?
Yeah, no, I'm about the Cleveland Browns, and John Dorsey's about the Cleveland Browns. And all these coaches that we have on our staff is about the Cleveland Browns. We don't get caught up into that. That's for other people to critique and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to line up and coach who's out there. John's going to take the best players that he feels and his staff and coaches collectively feel are the best players. And we don't care where they are at or what side of the ball they're on. It doesn't matter.
How different was it being in the draft room, all 3 days? And have you ever spent that much time in a room when you were a position coach?
No, I haven't. Usually the process goes you get called in there as a position coach to tell you what the possibilities are, and then everybody makes a decision and goes from there. So I've never seen the whole process, and it was very intriguing and exciting. And you find yourself hoping teams don't pick players a lot more than you did as a position coach.
Williams mentioned the Super Bowl 3 times. I think Mack Wilson just said it. When these guys you feel like they're getting, I don't know, what does that say to you about their goals or what they're made of, or
yeah, I don't.
what you're telling them?
Yeah, I don't. I didn't tell them anything about that. That's not. It's fine to have that as your dream and that as your goal, as long as you don't let that be your master. You have to let the process of getting there be your master. And that's where you have to focus that. But we'll get them right when they get here.
I think some of
And we don't want to talk about it either. We want to do our talking on how we prepare and how we work.
I think some of us expected Duke to have been traded by now, and he's not. Are you surprised he's still here? And then how do you handle the kind of dynamic if he stays on the team, being he requested the trade?
Well, Duke's under contract, and I don't know. And I've said this for like a month now. I don't know where all this trade talk started happening. They just, people just assume that we're going to trade him because we signed another good football player. I mean, me personally, I like good football players, and I like as many of them as we can get. And then it's our job to get them the ball and to enable them to help us win in whatever role that is. And Duke Johnson's on this football team. Duke Johnson will have a vital role in this football team, and Duke Johnson will help us win football games. So am I surprised that he's still here? No, not one bit. And I haven't wavered and never said anything different other than that.
I know he's around on a limited basis, but how's Kareem Hunt doing?
He's doing great. He's doing everything we're asking him to do, exceeding expectations from the standpoint of how he is in the building, how he is around the players, how he is on the field. I don't know. I'd never been around him up until now, but that's what I see, and that's what we've gotten. He's doing things in the community. He's continuing to work on an everyday basis. He's not taking any days off from the standpoint of becoming a better person, a better player, and I think everybody's going to see the benefits of that.
Duke, though, asking for the trade. How do you mend that fence with him? How do you get him on board with the program? I know you and John have both used the word vital in describing his role, but if this is a guy that maybe didn't want to be here, how do you get him on board and with the program?
I don't know the answer to that. I just can tell him. I can just shoot him straight and tell him what his role is, and then show him when he gets here and things like that. All the rest of that is up to him, and what he decides to do. It's not my decision is not based on how he feels. My decision is based on what's best for the Cleveland Browns and this organization. And at this present time, it's best for Duke Johnson to be a member of the Cleveland Browns, and everybody feels that way. So him asking for a trade and stuff like that, it doesn't matter to me. It's he's a Cleveland Brown, and if he shows up, Duke's the type of guy that is going to show up, and he's going to do his job. He's going to do his job well, and that's all I can ask for as a coach. His opinions and his demands and stuff like that, I'm not impacted by that one bit.
In the context of how important his position is, where's Baker Mayfield's head right now?
As far as like,
You know, what have you observed about him? You know, is
oh,
he
you're talking about as
think-
far as he's on the field and
however he looks
yeah,
in the
dude,
rooms?
Baker's been good mentally. You know, it's the springtime is for the quarterback. The springtime is to continue to develop your craft, to continue to see what throws I can make in certain situations before it actually counts. Sometimes you'll see quarterbacks making throws that you would never see them make in the fall, because this is the time to kind of test yourself. And I think he's doing a good job of that. And the further and further along mentally he gets in this game of football, he will start doing that more and more. But I think Baker's been great. He's been good. He's continuing to work. He understands. He wants to put the time into it to do the work. And he's continuing to strive to get better every day.
Are you disappointed that Odell Beckham wasn't here for that veteran minicamp?
No.
Why not?
Well, I mean, of course, I would rather him be here than not here, but I understand why. I talk to Odell every day. He knows what we're doing offensively every day. I don't know if you guys know who the people that set out the past 2 defensive players of the year set out of all of training camp. Did you know that? Khalil Mack, he's a pretty good player. He didn't have any off-season program in the spring, Aaron Donald. Can I say their names? Is that legal? I'm still getting the feel of these rules. They didn't have any off-season. Now, it's better for us to have them here, us being a new staff. But if we can't have him ready to play when he shows up, they need to find a new head coach. All right? They need to find a new position coach. He will be ready to play. All right? Don't worry about that. I'm sure you are, but don't worry about it.
What about camaraderie? You're either with us or not with us, all that kind of talk.
I'll tell you this about Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield. I think they have a pretty good relationship, and they've formed pretty good camaraderie. They've worked out for 2 summers in a row in California, and I don't see their camaraderie being a problem. Again, Julio Jones and their quarterback has pretty good camaraderie.
This is a new team, new system to them, new coaches, new teammates.
Yeah, I understand. And I also understand that you guys are always trying to define and draw lines in the sand and between coaches and players and players and players, and that ain't going to happen anymore. That's not happening here. And there's no problem with Odell not being here. I'd rather him be here. He's not here. It's voluntary. That's what the word voluntary means. He can decide to come or he can't. But under no circumstance am I going to say that I'm pissed off at Odell for not being here. He'll be ready to play, and that's ultimately the only thing I want is for him to be ready to play when we start kicking off in September. And he will be, I promise you.
Last year when you took over as coordinator, you advised Mayfield to be himself, and that worked out real well. My question is, have you given that same advice to yourself? You have a big new role now. It's different than anything you've ever done. Yeah. Have you advised yourself to be yourself, so to speak?
Do you think I'm not?
Just guessing. It'd be tough to be in your shoes.
I think, and I appreciate the question, but I think it's very easy not to be. Do I tell myself? I think the way I grew up and was raised and what I've been through up to this point in my life won't allow me to be any other way, because I understand what's important. I understand what's important in life. I understand what's important in the game. I understand what's important to players, and I understand what's important to other coaches. So I won't allow myself to be any different, because I don't think it's in me. And you can ask my wife. I'm just going to be myself. All right.
Freddie, you look at the draft overall so far. What are the couple things that you guys have done that stand out for you and to maybe please you the most?
I really like the fact that I think we've signed football players, or haven't signed them yet, right? We've drafted football players, and from the standpoint of guys that love the game, I like the fact that we've drafted some guys that think they have something to prove. Because if you ever step on the football field and don't feel like you have something to prove, you're behind someone else. That's probably the thing I've gotten out of this more than anything.
Positions you guys wanted to address that you were able to do that?
I think truly we did a good job in free agency to enable ourselves to really sit back and see what the best position was at the time. I don't think that ever factored into it.
There's no such thing as having a complete roster or feeling like it's a finished product from that standpoint. But just when you look at now what you have to work with, what's your overarching view of the depth and the quality of the roster compared maybe to a year ago?
You know, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we're always trying to get better. When the draft's over, we're going to try to get better. So it's a never-ending process. You know, I do think, again, it goes back, everybody this time of year wants to talk about the roster and wants to crown somebody. But all this is good, okay? But this is not going to win us any games. This is not even going to win us a quarter. It's not going to do anything for us but set us up for failure if we don't have our head on straight and we're ready to play football, because the games are going to be won and lost in September. All this other stuff is fluff, all right? It's just things for people to talk about in April and May, all right? You're going to have a different narrative come September, all right? And that's when we want to control the narrative, not in April and May.
Freddie, has anything surprised you about the duties of being a head coach so far?
Answering Tony's questions, that's about it. But no, not really. You know,
Like the administrative business.
yeah, I mean that of course I knew it was that was part of the job. I didn't realize how significant that was from the standpoint of every little detail. People want to know what you think about it. Which is fine, which is good. I can handle that. I've got great people around me that can help me in those situations, and hopefully 15 years from now I'll have great people around me to help me with those situations. So I wouldn't say it surprised me, but sometimes the nature of where the things come from has surprised me.
Are you talking to your friends?
This is the last question. Go ahead.
How often are you talking to your friends throughout the league just about stuff that is popping up on a day-to-day basis that might be new to you?
Yeah, pretty often. I lean on guys that I've worked with more than anything, or worked for more than anything, and I've got a great group of coaches here that you can rely on too and ask them their opinions. I've got a guy that's been a head coach, and I've got a guy that interviewed for a head coaching job. So I've got a wealth of experience around me. But you know, I've seen it done well in other places too, and been a part of that. So I think it's a good situation.